Welcome to the HRchat Show, one of the world's most downloaded and shared podcasts designed for HR pros, talent execs, tech enthusiasts, and business leaders. For hundreds more episodes and what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. I'm your host today, Bill Banham, and joining me on this episode is Nick Steiert, co-founder and director of the awesome new Wellnergy Festival. Hey Nick, welcome to the show today.
Hi Bill, thank you for having me.
Why don't we start by getting to know you a little bit on the pod today? In a moment, I'll invite you to talk about the festival, but let's just learn about you first, your career background, those moments up to getting involved with creating the festival. Let's start there. Take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is I went to Leeds University, studied law, graduated in 2008 as the president of the Law Society. And that experience is what inspired me to set up Invasion, which was my first company that was set up within a month of graduating. And we were an events-based company organizing student events, taking them from, say, Leeds to Manchester to Nottingham, and so forth. And then in 2010, we expanded and we became a travel company, and we started sending students to places like Amsterdam, then Paris, then Dublin, then Prague, and then all over Europe. We also launched another brand called AmeriCamp in January 2010 that sent students to work at summer camps in America. And then in 2014, we launched a brand called Camp Thailand, and that was followed by other brands called Camp Bali, Camp Maldives, Camp South Africa. So we were a global youth travel company, and everything was going great until COVID happened, and then being a travel company really stung us quite badly. However, we managed to survive, and part of that survival relied on having an American company come in and invest in us, and that completed in June 2021. And I worked under them for about a year and a half until March 2023, and then I exited this year and then started working full-time on Wellnergy.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the HR Chat Show. IEA Training provides professional development to a changing workforce with changing needs, and we're proud to support this episode of the HR Chat Podcast. IEA offers lots of courses, webinars, and on-demand training to meet our students where they are and help them reach their goals. We're proud of our contribution to better risk analysis and high operating standards in the industry. Learn more at ieatraining.org. And now, back to the conversation. Okay,
you've done a lot, that's for sure. Let's talk a bit about Wellnergy now. Tell us. So my understanding is that you and your team came up with the idea a while ago, but then the pandemic happened and that delayed everything. But you finally were able to do the inaugural event this summer just gone. In London, and it was a huge success, and thousands of people were there. Tell us about the genesis of the festival. Why create it in the first place?
Yeah, so I met my co-founder in January 2020. He wanted to organize a wellness festival, but he didn't know how to go about it. And then when he met myself, he thought, Nick's the guy I want to do this with. And then I came on board, and I came up with the Wellnergy name and the 5 pillars and whatnot. And it was, so initially we were going to run it in June 2021. And the plan was, we started creating it in June 2020. And I literally met my co-founder outside a train station in London, and we shaped everything up and how it was going to look like and how it was going to work. Unfortunately, those plans couldn't go ahead because of COVID the following year, so we had to cancel the event. The following year, in June 2022, travel wasn't, it was way too busy to be able to organize the festival, as that's when travel reopened, so that wasn't possible to run, but we started planning in August 2022 for the 2023 edition. And so when it happened this year, it was 3 years in the making, and everybody loved it. The feedback was incredible. People were saying how much of an amazing event it was. And some of the people that came said it was the best festival that they'd ever been to, which was amazing to hear.
Thanks for tuning in to the HR Chat Podcast. If you're enjoying this episode, We'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. And now, back to the conversation.
Okay, now on your website, it says that the Wellnergy Festival is made for everyone, not just for those into wellness. What do you guys mean by that? And how do we make wellness education more accessible?
First of all, I think, especially before COVID, wellness had a bit of a stigma. They're seen as a bit of people that were into wellness are seen as a little bit like hippies or whatnot. I think COVID has definitely changed that perception, and everybody has had to become a lot more aware about wellness. And, we all went through COVID together, which was a huge struggle and affected a lot of people's mental health. And looking at the world post-COVID, it's a lot more accepted. And equally as well, when we did our market research, we were aware of that. So we wanted to, and that's why we were really keen to position Wellnergy as a festival that is open to everybody. And we had a whole range of different activities on the day. We had 2 different mindfulness tents, a fitness tent, a nutrition tent, a talks and workshops tent, a wellbeing tent, and 2 stages. So the idea was people could go, they could get inspired, they could hear different people speak, they could they could learn a lot, they could discover. So that's basically why we try to make it accessible to everybody.
Once in a while, an event series is born that shakes things up, it makes you think differently, and it leaves you inspired. That event is Disrupt HR. The format is 14 speakers, 5 minutes each, and slides rotate every 15 seconds. If you're an HR professional, a CEO, a technologist, or a community leader and you've got something to say about talent, culture, or technology, Disrupt is the place. It's coming soon to a city near you. Learn more at disrupthr.co.
From what you saw, in terms of all the experiential learning and growth options, the meditation, the sound bath healing, the talks, the workshops, how much of that can be translated into the workplace, into the physical or the remote office? You had so many thousands of people there. It was a B2C event. However, I'm guessing there are lots of lessons that HR practitioners, for example, could take away from an event like yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually had a panel which was called Wellness in the Workplace, and it was hosted. We had some different guests that were in the HR industry talking about it, and I think the function of an HR manager has they've had to change their role in order to include wellness, and I think there is still incoming a huge shift change as HR managers incorporate that. And for those that are not, they definitely will have to, because the world is changing and wellness in the workplace is also becoming super important. Companies want happy employees. They want motivated employees. Equally, they are human, so they are going to go through lows as well. It's natural. And it's about having the right strategies to coach them through it, to keep them engaged and motivated. And I experienced that myself firsthand. Before I was doing Wellnergy, I was running a travel company, and our HR manager, who I labeled her job title as a people and performance manager, because that's ultimately, we put people first, and also we wanted to achieve a culture of high performance. And I was always speaking to her regularly, finding out on the state of the different employees, how they were feeling. So and also we did different classes, some of which were featured at Wellnergy, like yoga classes. One day we had a big team yoga class before the day started, just to get everybody in the right mindset, and people got involved with that. And we started an hour early from when the shifts start, and we had a really good turnout. And we did other activities like different fitness challenges. We would have free fruit on offer. In the past, one of the brands would have free biscuits, and we thought that's not good for physical health, and it's important that it's so we changed that, and we started putting things like fruits, including apples, oranges, bananas, and it had a much better response rate.
Well, that's just bananas for sure. Okay, now then, you and I, we got to know each other because you were putting on the event, and you reached out to me to make me aware of it, and we covered it on the HR Gazette, and then we spoke after the event, and I said, I'm super impressed with what you guys have done. Congratulations. You said thanks, Bill, and I said, what about if we do some content creation together ahead of the next edition next summer? So I'm delighted to inform you listeners that the fabulous Nick will be a host of a new mini-series focused on wellness, and it'll be shared exclusively on the HRchat feed. Tell us about the purpose of the series. I'll ask you about some of the speakers shortly, but let's just start with why are we creating this new mini-series?
We wanted to appeal to HR managers, and we want to help bridge that connection between HR and wellness that we mentioned earlier. So for HR managers to hear firsthand from the Wellnergy performers that were there, I think there's a lot of crossover, a lot of shared learnings and different strategies that will be able to be applied. And again, for me, I've seen it firsthand as well, the difference that incorporating wellness into the workplace makes on employee productivity, on morale. Employees are more engaged, they work harder. Ultimately it's to look at the bridge between wellness and HR, and how we can look at the shared learnings that can be achieved from it.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's excite our listeners then with a little bit of information, a sneak peek into what they can expect from the mini-series. Can you mention any of the speakers that you'll be chatting with? Any of the folks that you'll be interviewing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Laura Ann Moore, who is she's a money and mindset coach, and she aims to demystify personal finance in a simple, judgment-free way to help people become financially confident and transform their mindset to improve their relationship with money. So she is full of energy. She's really positive. And she was a big hit at Wellnergy. People really enjoyed talking with her. We've also got Ant Loafer, who he runs sober raves, so raves that don't involve alcohol. And I went to my first one, ironically, 1 week before Wellnergy, and it was amazing. It was so different, seeing everyone there partying and having a great time, and no alcohol involved whatsoever. And it was also the next day I felt great. I did a lot of steps, met a load of new people, and he's a really, really great individual. We've got Rachel Gow, who she spoke at Wellnergy, and my mum said, who went to her talk, that was one of her highlights of the day, which was amazing. She talks a lot about the link between ADHD and nutrition, and also the different effects it has. And she's received a lot of plaudits for her presentations. We have Sama Trinder, who is the founder of there's a kind of like a wellness gym called Booty. It's like a wellbeing escape based in Richmond in London, the home of Ted Lasso. She's having her on to be really inspiring. And then we have Mark Whittle as well, who is he's like a mindset coach as well. And he's all about high achievement, high performance. And I'm sure your listeners are going to enjoy hearing from everyone. And it's, from my side, really excited to get them on board and start having those conversations.
Cracking. And just finally for today, Nick, how can folks connect with you? So maybe that's LinkedIn, maybe that's by email or other socials. And of course, how can they learn more about the festival?
Yeah, absolutely. So my LinkedIn is Nick Steiert, And so just to spell that is S for sugar, T for tango, E for echo, I for indigo, E for echo, R for Romeo, T for tango. I'm also on Instagram, or they can search Wellnergy on Instagram, and also I believe we have a Wellnergy LinkedIn account as well. So those are the main channels.
Excellent. Well, that just leads me to say for today, Nick, thank you very much for being my guest on this episode of the HR Chat Show, and I'm looking forward to the new mini-series.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Really excited for it.
And listeners, as always, until next time, happy working.
Thanks for listening to the HR Chat Show. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and listen to some of the hundreds of episodes published by HR Gazette? And remember, for what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.